for fun. Hey everybody, welcome back. I am here with John and he is with Elevate and they are in Dallas, Texas. But not only that, like it's hot and sizzling in Dallas, Texas, right? Like
Pretty hot.
Summer. I guess not so much in the winter, but I'm super impressed with your company and what they are doing because it is smoking hot. You guys are crushing it. You guys just had this like crazy awesome meetup this week and it just seems like I just noticed that George had something published in Forbes. Like you guys are just like crushing it on every level. So impressed. And you are vice president of acquisitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just say yes, right?
Yes.
Yes, Julie, I am. Okay. So we're going to have a little fun because we'll have a little bit of story time because in every situation, every investment has its like ups and downs. So I don't know, John, what are you thinking? What was a real down that you turned into a real total win?
Yeah, definitely. So, in real estate syndication, one of the most important parts is raising capital. In our
It's kind
recent
of
deal,
important.
very, very important. You can't close the deal without money. They might say you can buy real estate without money down, but you're using somebody's money. It just might not be yours.
Taxpayers? I don't know.
Yeah. And so on our recent transaction, so we recently closed 1,275 units in Houston, Texas. It was a 5-property portfolio. And it was a $22 million raise. On that raise, what we were looking to do is we were looking to have a preferred equity. They would come in and maybe give most of or maybe half of that total raise. And then we'd raise the rest. So we had about 4 GPs on the deal and we'd split the raise up, 4 ways. That way, it's a pretty big raise and 4 different GPs, they can go in and raise different sides of the transaction.
Did you guys happen to have, like maybe one of the little thermometer things in your office, to come, like, just to see where you guys were
at? We might do that on the next one. We didn't have it on this one, but we did have, a tracking system, a way to track the different, who's raising what, and everyone knew kind of what their role was as far as like how much they needed to raise. But as far as like all GPs having one tracking system as a thermometer, we didn't have that, but we might do it on this one.
Yeah. And make it just a little fun,
Oh yeah. Gotta make it fun and make it exciting because that's where energy flows, or is it where focus flows, energy goes, or something like that. Something like that.
I totally go with that because there's truth. What you just said is total truth. So you can even claim it as your own quote.
Yeah, I might have to write that down. Let me go and write that down. Give me just a second.
Right. So you guys are raising this $22 million.
Yeah, so we're raising this $22 million and we get a term sheet from one of our capital partners and everything's going well. They're talking to the bank. In this particular deal, we're using one of the banks out of New York and everything's going well. Everything's going very well. They agreed on the terms and things went very, very well until about a week before closing.
Oh my gosh. A week before. So you guys have all your money lined up. You're ready.
We had all our money lined up. We raised our part a week before closing. So a week before closing, the preferred equity partner's attorney started fighting with the attorneys from the bank for the debt side. And they're saying, hey, this equity is being written as debt and we can have more than 2 sides of debt in the capital stack. And they're saying, we don't want this. And they're saying, oh, we don't want that. And the deal could have just blown up right then and there, 6 months of like hard work could have been gone,
oh my God.
Just like that.
And this wasn't just a battle of the egos. It wasn't like attorney egos playing against each other. It was just.
Well, there is that part of it too. There is all that that's personal side and the ego side of part about it. Yeah, but I mean, long story short, I think it got worked out. They agreed on terms, and that's kind of how it got worked out, and everything got worked out at the end. And so we ended up closing on the deal. But then we got a phone call afterwards. We got a
The
phone
red phone rings.
phone rings, and it's one of our main partners out of Miami, and they tell us that, hey, one of the GPs actually didn't come through with how much they were supposed to raise on the deal. And so our general partner ended up bringing more money to the table out of his own bank account to the table in order to get the deal closed. So, just for any syndicators out there, it's very important to have, really strong GPs, really important to have really strong partners. That way, if anything happens, you have a plan B and make sure the deal closes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so when that happened, we had to raise the rest of the money that they didn't bring to the table. So we raised that money as well
Do you mind? Can I?
after the deal actually closed.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, everything's great. Everything's great now. Everything's going well.
Of course it's great. Okay. How much money did you guys have to end up raising?
We raised about 2 million. Mhm.
Oh
We
my
had about 12 million split among four GPs. I think they were supposed to raise maybe 6 million, and they came up short. So we had to raise some of the rest.
And how, like, what did you guys do? Because you had already, I mean, everybody had already raised so much money already. Like, so I would imagine, I mean, I think there's a lot of capital available right now, but still, I mean, like, you've gone out, you've raised your money, you've kind of exhausted all of your means in a sense. Like, what did y'all do
What did we do? Well,
to raise that remaining capital?
Um, same thing that we've always done. We reach out to friends and family. And another good way to raise the capital are people who are already invested in the deal. Those are your best. I mean, because a lot of people say the second sale is the easiest, and it's true. The second sale is easier than the first sale. So you can call them and kind of tell them the situation, and they'll understand and say, hey, would you like to put in more money into the deal? And a lot of people said yes, especially with after the depreciation and normally what happens is, once the buzz gets going, the people were like, hey, I wish I could, be on the deal. And we're actually oversubscribed on the deal. So we reached out to other people as well, and they came in the deal as well.
Okay. So you've got the money raised. How did that, when you, I gotta circle back to the attorneys, because I just think that's kind of cute and funny. Because I think attorneys are so wonderful. I mean,
They're usually deal killers, but
I am positive. I mean, they're trying to right? I mean, they're always out. They're trying to protect their people, their clients' interests in everything. Did you ever hear how they came to a meeting of the minds on that, or?
I think they've changed the terminology in the contract. The specifics, I'd have to double check with the partner that was really handling that side of it. But I believe they changed some of the terms. They agreed on some different terms on the contract and say, hey, you're going to do this or you're going to do that. And they made it happen. And we're glad they did.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when did you guys end up closing? Was that?
We closed late November, or in November, late last year. So we closed in November on this.
All your investors are super stoked because they got a
Oh,
little
yeah.
little cash in before Uncle Sam could, close out for the
Oh,
year.
oh yeah. I mean, especially with the depreciation on the deal, it was really good. Really, really good. I mean, it's one of the best locations in Houston. One of the best deals that someone can get as far as working class properties as well. It's an amazing deal,
Nice.
and it was offered to a long range of investors as well.
Wow. Now, did you have any problems? Did you have a bunch of competition in, even getting the deal? Is it one of those where you had to go multiple rounds and beat out, everybody else? Or did you guys
Yeah.
just go in there and say, hey, we're Elevate, boom?
Well, that's actually where our partners from Miami came in. So they specialize in portfolio deals.
Oh,
And what we
nice.
did on the Elevate side is we have our own we're our own construction team. So our value add to the deal is one, we found the deal, and two, we have our own construction team, and we're able to do due diligence on the property to a better extent than they were able to do. So we're able to have better bids on the property, having the construction team, and we're very, very hands-on. You know, when we closed on the property, we were there that next Monday. Most general partners and most owner operators, they might even take about a month before they even start on the property. We were knocking off roofs day one. Day
Wow.
one. We were in there making things happen day one. And our partners out of Miami, they told us like, hey, like if it wasn't for y'all, we'd probably still be figuring out what we need to do on the property, to make sure we get our investors the returns.
Right. They're like still probably trying to get bids if you guys weren't involved, and
Exactly.
they'd have an idea, but yeah, that's a lot of legwork to have to do.
Yeah.
That's a great partnership, and that's a
Definitely.
really great win. Great.
Yeah, and another thing is their connections. So they have a lot of connections, and they're very, very well known in the industry. So it was easier to get the deal done having that name behind us.
Okay.
And we actually met the seller face to face as well,
How did that
which
go?
is very, very happen.
Do you,
Well,
have you
well,
done
I wasn't there, but it apparently went really well.
How often has that happened for you guys, where you actually meet the owners face to face?
Face to face. Well, on the last deal in Oklahoma City, well, actually not Oklahoma City, but in Lawton, Oklahoma, we met the owner face to face.
Is that a pretty? Would you recommend that?
Yo, oh yeah, yeah. So the way I look at it is, it's harder for someone to say no when you're talking to them face to face.
Right.
Easy. It's really easy to say no in a text message or email. Even harder when you're on the phone with them. But in face to face, it's pretty difficult to say no.
Right. Yeah,
Pretty difficult.
that is absolute truth. Wow. Well, I really appreciate your time. I like that this little story time on this podcast is always short and sweet, because
Oh
we're
yeah,
just going to build up that toolbox and arsenal for everybody. So I really appreciate your time, John.
100%.
All right.